Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to the second game. This is going to be streamed on YouTube, so uh, go to your Google accounts, log in, tell your children, tell your unborn children, tell your grandchilds, and like whatever family you have, whatever messed up family you have, tell them that a game of Dota is going to go on between White Walkers and Nefarious. These are going to be the teams which are going to be playing tonight, and this is going to be a round robin, so we are going to rank the seeds, the top seeds and the bottom seeds for this tournament. And getting into the game, we are going to see that a Sand King and Rubik are going to be picked up for White Walkers, and a Lich, Magnus and a Phoenix pick coming in for the side of Team Nefarious. They are really strong heroes. As for the bans, we have a Venomancer, Slardar, Sven and Anursa, while we see that the Night Stalker, Nyx Assassin, Necrophos and a Puck for Team Nefarious being banned out. The third pick is going to be the Phoenix. A Phoenix is a really strong hero. His heals coming in from the Sunray is something which is going to be really useful during the sieging stage of the game. Okay. And as we speak about that, we see an Earth Spirit pick coming in from the side of White Walkers. Earth Spirit is a really crowd control hero, usually not really strong in a solo situation, since he does not deal a lot of right click damage, but in a team fight he is considered to be one of the most strongest heroes, since he has that stun and the silence, which practically is as good as the Sand King's line stun, so it is going to be really scary. And as for retaliation, we see an Invoker being picked up for the side of Team Nefarious. Invoker works really well with the Magnus and the Lich combined in his lane. He is not going to be killed that easily. We are going to see the fourth pick for Team White Walkers, and I expect that to be a direct retaliation to whatever Team Nefarious have picked right now. That is the Invoker, so something which counters the Invoker perhaps. And we are going to see a Queen of Fame being picked up for the side of Team White Walkers. This is going to be a really fight-intensive game for the side of Team White Walkers, since they have those really ganky heroes being picked up, the Sand King, Rubik and the Earth Spirit. So that is going to be a position 3 Sand King. He will probably have the farm priority to complete his Bling Dagger and his minor items, so he can participate in the team fights fairly early on. Maybe even sending him to the jungle, we might not know. So we are down to the last banning phase for the side of Team Nefarious. They're probably looking to ban out a safe lane carry, possibly someone who works really well with the Queen of Pain. And we see a Troll Warlord being banned out from the side of Team Nefarious, and that is a really reasonable ban. A Troll Warlord has the potential to permabash you, and we see the retaliation coming in from the side of White Walkers. They ban out a Juggernaut, and since they did ban out a Sven earlier in the game, the Magnus' Empower will not be working really well with the heroes that Nefarious is going to pick. Maybe they can go for either a Spectre or even an Ember Spirit might work if played right, but I do not see the synergy coming in from the side of Team Nefarious, at least the ones where the Empower is involved. Seems as though Team White Walker are taking their sweet time trying to decide the last hero for themselves. Maybe they can go for an Ember Spirit themselves, since that adds to one more lockdown in their team. And with that Flame Guard, he does really work really well against the Lich and the Magnus against their magic damage. But it seems as though I do not know this game well enough. And we are going to see a Lifestealer being picked up for the side of Team White Walkers. Lifestealer does work really well, but then again they do have the RP and the Supernova coming in from the Phoenix, which can stun through that spell immunity that he has. But then again, the attack speed coming in from the Lifestealer will be able to catch out the Supernova if he is going to do it alone.
Faceless Void.
And we see the last pick for the side of Team Nefarious is going to be that Faceless Void. Faceless Void works really well with the Empower inside of the Chronosphere, plus the Faceless Void, and the Sunray combo coming in from the Phoenix is going to be really devastating. I don't know how White Walkers are going to answer that draft, but I guess we will see it as the game begins.
It's not working. For me, it's not loading. Okay.
Check your YouTube stream because I don't know if my sound is audible or not. I know my Discord volumes happening.
And the Supernova coming in from... And welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. I am Old Bear and I will be casting this game with you, so please tolerate my salt. And with that, I am going to introduce the players for each team. For the side of White Walkers, you've got Kael on the Lifestealer. You've got the Queen of Pain being played by GG Nilar, and Chrysoflax playing the Sand King, Carl playing the Rubik, and the Kark on the Earth Spirit. Meanwhile, on the side of Team Nefarious, we got Mr. BM playing the Lich, Stand-in.Arch playing the Faceless Void, Rest in Peace Chester. I guess that this is a little bit too late to mourn Chester, but then again, you know, Dota players, they forget to update their in-game tag, and it usually happens. And we have Unimax playing the Phoenix, and Lips of Angel on the Magnus. As for the items, we haven't seen a smoke being picked up either way, and the go sign is going to get given. A smoke being picked up for the Lich. And meanwhile, in the side of Team White Walkers, we see a smoke on the Rubik. Seems as though the Invoker did not go for a Sunstrike early enough to scout out whatever Team White Walkers did, but it does not... maybe he thought that they would have smoked up, but they have not smoked up yet. The Rubik is going to go to the bottom lane, possibly to help out the Lifestealer. The Lifestealer will not be able to farm that in a really easy manner, since he will be going up against that Magnus, and the cleave damage is pure, so he might not have an easy lane unless the Rubik or the Earth Spirit comes to support them out. And we see a Sunstrike landing onto the bottom rune spot, so Lifestealer looking a little bit low, having to spend his tango. Okay, he did not spend the tango, he used the calling blade to call down the trees. So I don't think the runes are going to get contested as of now. Maybe the Sand King is trying to go for a rune contest in the top lane. And we see the Sand King is just going to back off since he is taking a lot of right click damage from Yonamax on that Phoenix. So the Lifestealer into the bottom lane, he will be going up against the Magnus with the help of the Rubik. Meanwhile in the mid lane it seems as though Kark is not going to rotate to a safe lane anytime soon, since a solo offlane Magnus is not something which is that threatening compared to an Invoker and a Lich combo. We see a roll coming in from the side of Kark. Kark is slowing down Chester in a large manner, and the first blood is going to go down to Kark on the Earth Spirit. The Earth Spirit is looking really strong, and the Queen of Flame places down the Observers and the Sentries in the mid lane. Mr. BM trying to salvage that situation by securing himself a few last hits, maybe, or the experience. And we see the Earth Spirit is not going to go anytime soon. Like, he's going to stick in the mid lane, helping out the Queen of Pain secure the lane against the Invoker. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the Magnus is exchanging a bunch of auto attacks against the Rubik. The Rubik does seem to come out on top, even though he deals less damage, since he does have that Fade Bolt to work with him. Kark rotating onto the top lane. White Walkers are looking really strong and aggressive. He rolls in and spots out the pull coming in from Unamax, and he disrupts that. The Faceless Void is trying to get a few hits onto the Earth Spirit, but the Earth Spirit is just going to walk back. I don't think the Caustic Finale from the Sand King is something which the Void can really go up against in this lane. And we see the Lich is going to run in to the Earth Spirit. The Earth Spirit is still level 1, so it might not be a really good idea. He does secure the bounty rune. He's still level 2 though, so things are looking awfully dangerous for the Earth Spirit, but it seems as though the Lich is going to come out on top. A bunch of pings to go for the Sunstrike, but that is not going to happen since the Earth Spirit is going to roll back to his base. A full waste of mana coming in from the Invoker, since that Sunstrike was pretty predictable. When we look at the last hit charts, it seems as though the Queen of Pain is on top, with the Faceless Void following closely behind her. She pops the salve, so she will be able to heal a decent amount, but she jumps in and uses the Shadow Strike, and the stun comes in from the Earth Spirit, and they secure the kill onto the Invoker, and they turn their eyes around towards the Lich, but it does not seem like that is going to work. The Fire Spirits are not going to land a second time onto the Queen of Pain. The Sunstrike though, it is a really close call, but the Queen of Pain is going to evade that and is going to survive. Meanwhile in the top lane, the Void is looking really strong. He is trading hits equally against the Sand King, which should really not be possible since he does have the Caustic Finale. He chose to max out the Burrow Strike over the Caustic Finale, I suppose, so things are not looking that well in the top lane for White Walkers. But in the mid lane though, the Queen of Pain is absolutely shrekking the Invoker. A rotation coming in from the Phoenix, trying to secure the lane for the Queen of Pain. The Queen of Pain is going to get fairly low, but she blinks out, possibly looking to go for another salve, I suppose. No, she has two null talismans, so She is looking to stay in the lane and fight. She has 2 points into her Shadow Strike, so things are looking really good for the Queen of Pain as of now. You see rotation coming onto the bottom lane. The Lich is going to rotate and try to disrupt the farm of the Lifestealer as much as possible. He places down an Observer Ward to stalk out the pulls from the side of White Walkers. And we see the stack and pull coming in from Unimax on the Phoenix. He's looking really strong. Maybe going for a Burrow Strike. He might decide to turn around and kill the Phoenix, but he chooses not to. That might definitely result in exchange for his own life. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, a Cold Snap onto the Queen of Pain is going to cancel out herself. So yeah, she is looking kind of weak as of now. She does have 2 points into her Scream of Pain, and she will be able to secure the lane for now. Meanwhile, we see a rotation coming onto the top lane, the Earth Spirit and the Faceless Void trying to trade a few hits, but it seems as though the Faceless Void is going to go and secure a kill onto the Earth Spirit. The Earth Spirit is going to go down. The Fire Spirit onto the Sand King. The Sand King is not going to be attacking really fast, and he turns around, uses the Burrow Strike onto the Faceless Void. The Faceless Void is looking really low, but the Queen of Pain comes in with the Sonic Wave and secures the kill. The Rubik goes for a lift. The Queen of Pain does not have a lot of mana to work with, but she blinks ahead and tries to block his movements, and they do end up securing the kill onto the Lich also. White Walker's looking really strong. Only the Faceless Void coming out for the side of Team Nefarious during that fight. Meanwhile, Kael on that Lifestealer is looking really strong, having completed his phase boost. I suppose he's going to go for an Armlet next, or maybe opting for the more unaccustomed Echo Saber, maybe not. And meanwhile, we see the Magnus, having completed his Arcane Boots, will be able to secure a bunch of farm in the bottom lane and the Dire Jungle in the bottom side. So I think he's going to secure his Blink Dagger sometime around 15 minutes. And we see a roll coming in. The roll is going to miss. The Shadow Strike is going to connect though. But the Phoenix TPing in. The Cold Snap onto the Earth Spirit. The Earth Spirit is looking really low, but he will be able to survive. Meanwhile, the Sand King coming in. He also has that Arcane Boots completed. So it seems like the Sand King is competing toe-to-toe against the Magnus for that Blink Dagger. And a pause coming out from the side of White Walkers. Well, talking about a lot of item choices, we are going to see that the Faceless Void is going to go for that early Vladimir's. Okay, like I haven't seen a lot of Faceless Void go for that. They do opt out on the Mask of Madness. Once the Chronosphere hits, they do deal a lot of damage inside of the Chronosphere once the Mask of Madness is activated. So it is a really weird choice of item, but if the Faceless Void manages to make it work, pretty good and well for him. The bottom lane seems to be going a slight bit towards the Magnus, since the cleave damage is not something which the Lifestealer can compete against really, but the Lifestealer, being a hero who works as an anti-tank, will be able to secure his farm in the bottom lane. It seems as though he is leading the last hit shards with 40 last hits and 7 denies, even though he is lagging behind on the levels. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we see that the Faceless Void is looking really risky. The Caustic Finale coming in from the Sand King is going to make short work of the Faceless Void. He does not have the time walk. He does use the time walk, but it is not within the time window where he can time walk the damage dealt by the Sand King. And we see a 4-man rotation coming down to the bottom lane, maybe trying to look for an easy kill onto the Lifestealer. The Empower onto the Faceless Void maybe. He goes for the Chronosphere. The Chronosphere is going to connect. The Fire Spirits are also going to connect. And with that, the Rage coming in from the Lifestealer. They also commit the RP. Okay, 2 ultimates, big ultimates being committed to get a kill onto the Lifestealer down the bottom lane. The Queen of Pain though, meanwhile, in the mid lane looking really strong. Is going to use up the Regen Rune and look really strong. Once she finishes up her Veil of Discord, it does not seem like Team Nefarious are going to have a really good time, since she does have that long range blink and will be able to secure a lot of kills. She is farming directly under an Observer Ward coming from the side of Team Nefarious, so meanwhile, in the top lane, the Sand King is looking really close to his Blink Dagger. He does have that Burrow Strike to work with. He's not going to use it anytime soon. He's just going to settle for farming up the creep wave. He does have 2 points into the Caustic Finale. Has not gone for the Epicenter, so really good choice by the Sand King, prioritizing the farm over the team fight, since he does have that decisive advantage. Meanwhile, we see the Faceless Void trying to jump onto the Sand King. The Sand King does have that Burrow Strike to work with, so things are looking really well. But the Sunstrike is going to land onto the Sand King and secure the kill. Okay, the Sand King making the mistakes right there. That early point into the Sandstorm not working so well for the Sand King. The Sunstrike is going to secure the kill, and the Invoker is going to look really strong, but he's not going to be strong. The stun connects onto 2. The Lich is also looking really low. He does not have that level 6 to work with, so he is going to go down. The Queen of Pain with a double kill. White Walkers are looking really strong in this fight, and the mid tower is going to get sieged. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the Magnus does deal a lot of damage with that Shockwave, but the Lifestealer has that sustain from the Feast and the Infest if needed, so I don't think he will be going down anytime soon, unless a rotation like the previous time comes into play. And we see the Faceless Void coming down to the bottom lane. As I speak, it seems as though I have no luck. He wants to go for a Chronosphere, and he is going to land the Chronosphere. The Chronosphere is going to catch out the Lifestealer, and the Lifestealer is going to go down. The Sunstrike also connecting, securing the kill onto the Invoker. The Invoker, even though going down quite a bunch of times in the mid lane, will be securing his own farm with the Sunstrike plays coming in. He is nowhere close to his Hand of Midas, but the Queen of Pain has that Veil of Discord, has popped the bottom shrine and trying to look for a kill onto the Faceless Void. The Faceless Void does not manage to go to the low ground, and he dearly pays with his life. A Sonic Wave and a Scream of Pain is going to secure the kill. Meanwhile, in the top lane, the Sand King goes for a pull onto the hard camp. So versus the Phoenix, I don't think the Sand King is going to have a really tough time. He will have his Blink Dagger sometime soon. The farm is going to get contested by the Phoenix, but I don't think he will be able to do much, since the neutrals are really tanky. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we see the Magnus still has that RP, so he can go for it anytime he wants. He also only needs about 200 gold to finish up his Blink Dagger. The Observer World coming in from the side of White Walkers is going to spot out the Magnus, so he needs to be really careful jungling around that side. And also, the Lifestealer looking really strong. He will not be able to deal a lot of damage to the towers, but we see that the Earth Spirit is going to roll in, and the stun connects onto 2, and the Queen of Pain comes in. The Shadow Strike is also going to connect onto the Faceless Void. The Faceless Void is looking really low, and maybe one more Scream of Pain is going to secure the kill onto the Queen of Pain. And with that, it seems as though White Walkers have a definitive lead as of now, minus the 2 kills going the way of Team Nefarious, both of them being the Lifestealer. We see the Lich having still not anywhere close to his level 6, is looking really weak as of now. Even though the Lich has that sacrifice for him to work with, it does not seem like he is going ahead on the levels. And the game is going to resume. The Lifestealer has completed his armlet. The Rubik and the Lich are really close by. They're so close by that they have not spotted each other. Okay, maybe one of them is going to spot out the Lich. The Lich is going to run back. He does not have that level 6 to work with. Maybe if he waits a few more minutes, he will have that. But we see a skirmish down the bottom lane. The Chronosphere connects onto the Lifestealer, but a reverse Chronosphere coming from the side of the Rubik. The Rubik is going to make short work of that, and the Phoenix Egg plus the Sunstrike is going to make short work of the Lifestealer and the Rubik. Both of them go down. Even though the Chronosphere was put in a really good situation there, he will not be able to achieve much. Meanwhile, we see a rotation coming in from the Queen of Pain, trying to secure a bunch of kills onto the Faceless Void maybe. The Earth Spirit does have 2 points into his silence, so if he manages to land that, they do have a really solid chance of getting a kill. The Sand King also has that Blink Dagger to work with. Things are looking really scary for the side of Nefarious as of now. And the stun is going to connect, and Queen of Pain is going to be godlike as of now. 14 minutes in, this is one really scary Queen of Pain. If Team Nefarious are going to let this slide, I think they will have to pay with a lot of their lives in this game. Meanwhile, in the Dire Jungle, the Invoker, having completed his Hand of Midas, is going to just sit there and farm. Has the Alacrity and the damage buff coming in from the Magnus. So yeah, he will be able to farm this relatively safe, since he's not showing himself on the map. The Earth Spirit is looking really cocky, has that Observer Ward, maybe wants to go for a plant. Also the Sand King with the Lifestealer Infest inside of him tries to look for a kill onto the Lich, but he manages to focus his eyes onto the Invoker. The Invoker uses that Ghost Walk, but it does not seem like he is going to go down anytime soon. The Magnetize is taking him down, but a skewer back onto the Earth Spirit. The Earth Spirit is looking really low, but the Invoker turns back with that Alacrity, is trying to look for a kill, but the Rubik with the stolen egg is going to make short work of the Lich. The Lich is going to go down. The Fire Spirits are going to land onto the Lifestealer. The Lifestealer is looking really low. Maybe if the Invoker is trying to look for a Sunstrike, he will be able to do it, but he does not. And Team Nefarious turn around, use the Chronosphere, and secure 4 kills for the side of Team White Walkers. Lifestealer being the only one who survives, having that armlet, is looking really strong, but it seems as though his team, with that blunder in the mid lane, will be giving a lot of gold for the side of Team Nefarious. They will be able to come back into the game. The Faceless Void having completed his Power Treads and his Vladimir sometime soon, so he will be able to deal a lot of damage inside of the Chronosphere with that Magnus Empower coming in. The Magnus has maxed out his Empower, so they can relatively look for early team fights if they want to. And we see that White Walkers are trying to look for a kill onto the Faceless Void, since he is the only one who's visible, but the Observer Ward on the lane is going to spot out the Magnus and the Phoenix, the supports. They do spot out the smoke coming in from the side of Team Nefarious, so they will be playing a little bit more careful as of now. The Sand King, having completed his Blink Dagger, is farming up relatively fast, so I don't know what he's going to go for next. Maybe a Blade Mail will be a good pickup. And the Queen of Pain is going to get spotted out by the Lich, who was smoked up. That is not a kill which you would want to go for, since she does have the reliable escape, that is the blink. And the Observer Ward is going to spot out the Faceless Void. The Faceless Void is jungling, so if they do manage to catch him out, that is going to be really good for them. He does have the Chronosphere in about 30 seconds, so they have to be really careful if they want to go for that. Seems as though the Sand King is going to go for that epicenter, and the blink in is going to connect, but the RP is going to make sure that the Faceless Void is going to save himself. But the reverse RP coming in from the Rubik is going to make short work of that. The Magnetize is taking the Faceless Void down, but the Faceless Void is going to go down, but the Chronosphere is going to connect, so that is going to be 3 kills going the way of Team Nefarious. The Phoenix taking 2 of those, and the Magnus Lip of Angel is going to take the 3rd kill with that Shockwave. So things are looking really well, but it does not seem like that is going to be the case, since the Queen of Pain does jump in trying to look for a kill onto the Phoenix, but the Phoenix did have the dive, so she manages to escape. Meanwhile, in the bottom ancient side for the Dire, the Invoker is just casually just farming up his Aghanim Scepter. He will have it in about 5 more seconds, I presume. Okay, maybe not 5 more seconds, more like 10 seconds, but he manages to get that. And the team fights are going to go more the way of Team Nefarious if this keeps on continuing. We see the Magnus. Okay, the Oblivion Staff. Okay. The Oblivion Staffs have been stolen by the Magnus. So, okay. Things are looking really bad for White Walkers. The Magnus managing to steal 2 Oblivion Staffs from the Queen of Pain. Okay, that was a really bold, that was a really stupid move coming in from the Queen of Pain, dropping his items right in front of the Magnus's face. He manages to take that out, and I don't think the rolling on the floor laughing emote by the Queen of Pain is something which he is doing IRL. He should be crying right now. That is a lot of gold going the way of the Magnus for no reason. That was a really stupid mistake. Okay. The Queen of Pain doing that little throw in the top lane. She is going to have a lot of trouble farming all of that back up. That was like, I can't even talk about this, man. So the Queen of Pain had 2 Oblivion Staffs, and he dropped it right in front of the tier 2s, and the Magnus stole both of those. Like, why? Why would that happen? Meanwhile, Chronosphere onto the lifesteal. The lifesteal is going to go down, but he does manage to infest onto the creep, but that is going to get nuked down. The Force Staff into the Outbreak coming in from the Magnus, and the Skewer Back, and the Chain Frost coming in from the Lich is going to deal a lot of damage. The Sonic Wave coming in from the Queen of Pain. The Queen of Pain is looking relatively unsafe as of now. The Sunray is going to tick her down, and that is going to be a triple kill going the way of the Lich. So yeah, like, it does not matter, man. It does not matter how bad White Walkers take the fights, but the blunder made by the Queen of Pain is something which that should not happen in a league as good as this. Casual advertisement right there. Losing to Oblivion Staffs. Okay, that is going to be my story for the next few years. And we see the Roche is going to go down. The Lacroteed Faceless Void is going to deal a lot of damage. And once the Magnus comes into play with the Empower, that is going to be really hard for Team White Walkers to come back. And we see an initiation onto the Invoker. The Invoker does have that Aegis to work with. The Burrow Strike is going to connect onto the Phoenix. Also, the Phoenix can go down as of now. The Invoker is definitely going to tick down to the Shadow Strike coming in from the Queen of Pain. The Sand King having that... Okay, it seems as though the Queen of Pain is not done with her throws yet. She does have 2 more Oblivion Staffs being queued up in her quick buy. That must be really painful. She would have had her Orchid by now, but that was a really stupid mistake which she is going to pay by farming up and wasting a lot of time for her own team. The mid lane is going to get sieged. The deny coming in from Carl on the Rubik is not going to connect since the fortification was there. And even though the Aegis has been dropped, the Faceless Void still has the Chronosphere to work with. He also has that Empower to work with, so if he manages to go for a kill, it is going to be really good. He does go for the time lapse, trying to look for a Chronosphere, but he does not know the position of that Queen of Pain, so things are looking really bleak for the side of White Walkers. The Magnus, having completed his Force Staff and his Blink Dagger, is going to queue up a Shadow Blade next. So we see that the Earth Spirit is trying to look for a kill onto the Rubik. The Sand King also blinks in, tries to go for a Burrow Strike, but that is a bit of reluctance being sensed. And the Lich is trying to go for a D ward. Maybe if he gets that and works that as... Okay, the Chain Frost is going to connect and it is going to bounce onto the Rubik. But that is not going to be enough, since that is going to be a 2-man RP onto the Earth Spirit and the Lifesteal. The Lifesteal is going to get infested onto... And the Sunray is going to make sure that the Faceless Void is not going to die anytime soon. The heals coming in from the Phoenix, making short work. The time lapse coming in from the Rubik. The Rubik is also going to go down. The Queen of Pain is going to be the only one who survives that fight. Maybe not. He is going to go down. The Urn is going to take him down. And the last hit from the Magnus is going to make sure that that is going to be a team wipe, going the way of Team Nefarious. Okay. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter how good of a plays that the Queen of Pain is going to make. The throw that she did in the top lane, that was something which is unforgivable for her team. So there is that, and a push coming down onto the bottom lane. You see the Sand King TPing in the TP, but the Faceless Void goes in. The first hit bash from the Faceless Void is going to make sure that he is going to secure the kill onto the Sand King. And the tier 2 is going to get sieged and possibly going to go down. The Ice Wall coming in from the Invoker, keeping out the Great Wave. That is a really good play, since that is a Catapult Wave. If they manage to get that Catapult Wave down as of now, they can go for another push. Maybe even go for high ground, but it does not seem like the Faceless Void wants to go for that. Having completed his Yasha is really close to his Manta Style. Once he completes his Manta Style, he will be able to kill whoever he catches inside of the Chronosphere. So things are looking really scary. The Faceless Void is looking really scary. And Team White Walkers need to pick up their pace if they want to come back into the game. And the Queen of Pain, having completed her Orchid once more, I say once more, having completed her Orchid once more, is as of now looking really strong. A level 17 is second in the last its charts, so the Lifestealer does not seem to be doing as well as the Queen of Pain. Even though she did manage to do that throw, she is keeping up in the game because she is farming really fast. The Lifestealer, in the meantime, only has a Desolator and the Armlet to work with. That is really strong, but maybe if he had 2 more points into his feast, he will be able to do a lot of damage. And a go sign being given by Lip of Angel on the Magnus. Okay, on the all chat. And Carl on the Rubik responds with a smiley, a Night Stalker smiling up. A little cute exchange right there on the all chat. Nothing too serious. Nothing ever is serious in a game like this. So the Faceless Void with that Empower is going to deal a lot of damage. Maybe if they want to go for it. And we see the Epicenter being charged up by the Queen of And the RP is also going to connect. So the Chronosphere is going to land, and that is going to be 2 kills going the way of Team Nefarious. The Void baiting out the epicenter from the Sand King. And with that, the fight is going to end for now. So the Earth Spirit rolls in, managed to go for a really good Magnetize. The Magnetize is not going to land on the Faceless Void since she does go for that Manta Style, but the Phoenix Egg is going to tick in its full duration, and the laser is going to tick down. The Rubik, the Fire Spirits are going to deal a lot of damage to the Earth Spirit. The Earth Spirit is kind of frozen. His skills are being frozen, so he might just die as of now if the Faceless Void commits enough for this kill. And the first hit stun coming in from the Faceless Void. Totally skills, no RNG. And the Earth Spirit buys back into the game. And they managed to get a kill onto the Invoker. And they also managed to get a kill onto the Lich. Okay, it seems as though Team White Walkers still have a chance in this game despite all the throws and all the mistakes they have done. They are looking really strong. The Queen of Pain, having completed her Orchid, is going to go for a BKB next. And what does the Void have in store? He has the Diffusal Blade almost being completed. He will have that ready for the next fight. And we see that the Sand King is trying to look for a kill onto the Faceless Void, but he will not be able to find that Burrow Strike, so that Infest gank is not going to go the way of Team White Walkers. Team Nefarious are looking really strong. Meanwhile, in the bottom jungle, it seems as though the Magnus is having a game of his own. Farming up a lot of creep waves with his Empower. Looking really strong. Has that 90 gold per minute talent, so he will be able to buy out any of his items in the upcoming team fights. Possibly completing a Perseverance. And a Sunstrike coming in from the Invoker, trying to check the status of Roshan. We also see a 5-man smoke rotation coming in from the side of Team White Walkers. The scan is not going to connect, and the Magnus, okay, if they manage to initiate onto, and the Magnus manages to catch a beautiful RP, and that is going to be the end of that. The Lifestealer looking really strong, and he is going to skewer the Rubik back into the Chronosphere, and the Phoenix is going to make sure that the Lifestealer is going to go down. He does deal a lot of damage against tanky heroes with that Sunray. A lot of Russian being put on by the Lich, and the tier 2s are going to get sieged by the side of Team Nefarious. Third Spirit, being the only one alive, is going to spot out the Earth Spirit will not be able to do much in these team fights since none of his team is alive. The Void does not have the Chronosphere to work with as of now. The Epicenter is going to connect onto the Invoker. The Invoker is getting really low, but it seems as though the Magnus is going to make sure that the Invoker is going to survive. The Skewer in is not going to connect onto the Lifestealer. The Lifestealer is going to get a kill onto the Invoker. A buyback coming in from the Rubik. The Rubik trying to go for a kill, maybe Kyle making short work of the Faceless Void. The Faceless Void is going to get glimmered up, and he will be able to escape. The buyback coming in from the Invoker. It seems as though Team Nefarious want to take this fight right now, and they want to shut people down. We see that the RP is going to be back on the Magnus soon enough, like 20 more seconds. The Faceless Void will also have his Chronosphere soon. He does not have the mana to work with, but I don't think that is going to be necessary since the Queen of Pain is going to go down. She does not have buyback to work with, so I guess this is going to be one lane of barracks going the way of Team Nefarious, unless the Sand King has something to say about that. And it seems as though Team Nefarious are not going to get this over with. The Burrow Strike connects onto the Faceless Void. The Faceless Void is looking really strong. The Supernova is going to get committed, so once that ticks down, that is going to be A stun going the way of the Leicester, but that is not going to connect. And GG well played is going to get called, and Team Nefarious take this game. So White Walkers, having played 2 games, have not won any of those. And Team Nefarious looking really strong with this. That was a really unfortunate throw by the Queen of Pain, but what can we say? Games like these too tend to happen, and even though they threw the game, they managed to put up a really good fight, and with that, this game is going to be done, and we are going to go for the next game at 9 o'clock. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll be right back.
One more rocket. Team Nefarious one.
Thank you.